Well, today was really important to have our media roundtable to give our area media folks a chance to meet us in a non-emergency situation, understand a little bit about the roles that each of us play in the emergency management process and getting information out to the public, and have a better feel for what we can offer here at the EOC as far as studio-wise, equipment-wise, personnel-wise, in order to help them make their job easier in the event of an actual storm and we're locked down in the EOC.
Hi, I'm Pete McNally, Polk County Emergency Management Director. Welcome to the Polk County Emergency Operations Center, or as we call it, the EOC. I'd like to give you a walking tour of the EOC on this 10th anniversary of our visit from Hurricanes Charlie, Francis, and Jean, to show you what we were doing back then and where we've come to since that time. This is our entrance here, and you can see it's actually well protected in case something should happen. We do have a roll down cover that'll close these doors, this storefront door section. The year 2004 and where we came from and where we are now. This building was actually built in 2010, or opened in 2010. In May of 2010 we had our grand opening in here, and we've been working out of here for the past 4 years. So in the interim between 2004 and 2010 we were still working in the same operating system with the EOC at the air base and using the Stewart Center as a potential recovery operations center. Again, this is a tremendous advance for where we were back in those days. I've been to many EOCs around the state, and this one certainly ranks up with the best of those, and get a lot of compliments from our fellow emergency management officials as they come in here to view this place. It's a wonderful center and a great testament to our commissioners and what they are dedicated to the emergency operations and the safety of the citizens of Polk County.
Well, in 2004, after 3 hurricanes, there were a large number of homes that had either been damaged or destroyed. Over 50,000 structures had some level of impact throughout the county, and almost 3,000 of those were destroyed, and that's homes, mobile homes, apartments. So even since it's been 10 years since the storm, the necessity, the importance of preparedness. There were 350,000 customers without power after those storms, and many of that was over a week or more long. So without power, without water, without sewer at home, being prepared for that situation is still important today. Being able to be self-sufficient with water, 1 gallon per person per day, and food and a way to prepare that food. Whether it's canned food, having a can opener, just that personal preparedness and having a plan. What is your family or your home unit going to do? And that depends on who's there, responsibilities of work. We know if we have a hurricane, we're coming to work, so our families at home have to be prepared.
This is where the main part of the activity will take place. The operations floor is broken up so that different working entities can work together, folks that normally work together in health agencies, first responder, fire, EMS, and law enforcement, in our sheltering, in our public works areas, are congregated together so they can work on their similar issues at the same time. We also, along the back wall, have 4 rooms set aside for breakout rooms where different working groups can get together off the operations floor and work together in those special areas. Some of those include our special needs sheltering capability, our joint operations center, and our damage assessment teams, as well as our debris management teams, can operate out of those rooms off the floor, off the main area where it's going to be a little bit more noisy, a little bit more hectic. Before we leave the ops floor, I wanted to make sure we point out the different displays we have around the ops floor itself, and that's to provide as maximum amount of information we can to our folks on the tables and in the different working groups. We only get information that is fed to us. We can't see what's going on outside, so we need to get as much of that information as we can from the outside. We also display information for them, such as shelter operations, workday schedules, things like that on the boards in front as well. So we keep them as apprised of the information of what's going on the outside as we possibly can.
today I was asked to participate and really talk about what American Red Cross does and how we participate in being at the Emergency Operations Center during a disaster. So I'm the Director of Communications, so I have to be out during a disaster and helping our CEO, helping our volunteers, and helping our disaster program managers. So I wouldn't be sitting in the Emergency Operations Center, but certainly we'd have a representative here. We have multiple representatives for the different emergency services functions. And then of course I'd be in close communications with the folks here, so we'd be getting all the information that we need to have here, so it'd be going out to the media. And so all the facts about what Red Cross is doing and how we're supporting the county would be going out to the residents of Polk County.
As we leave the operations floor, we head back to the break room area. We do need to take a break to either get their meals or just to get off the floor to take some time away from what's happening. Doors in the back there have the same type of roll-down protective devices we saw on the front door.
Well, as we're coming into the 2014 hurricane season, it's hard to believe it's already been 10 years since the 2004 hurricane season when Polk County was crossed by the eye of three separate hurricanes that had never happened before or since, with hurricanes transitioning through one county that many times in one season. Many of you probably still lived here and know the damage that was affected throughout the county and throughout the state back in 10 years ago now. We've made a lot of improvements in 10 years. The situation back then worked fairly well, but we didn't have this beautiful facility that we're in today. The media plays a huge part in that. In 2004 we found out just how important the media was in getting information out to all aspects of the community.
The most important rooms we have in here is our multi-purpose room. Of course, we're not activated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We only activate when the need is required. So we do use this building for a lot of other things, including a lot of training classes. We can see it's a good-sized room set up today in a classroom environment, but these chairs and tables can all be moved for another purpose. If we want to sleep people in here, we can do that. If we want to have meals in here, we can do that. If we want to have meetings of different organizations, different groups, like in our breakout rooms we talked about earlier, we can do the same thing in here. It's fully capable with projectors, so we can provide information that's provided on the ops floor to the folks in here who are working in that particular environment. One of the most important rooms in the building, it's a room for our media. When we worked in 2004, the media actually had theirs set up out on the street on Highway 17 and ran some of their cables through the doors into the building. We've alleviated that by allowing them to park in the front row of the parking spot and then hook up to a pedestal out there where their information will come to similar receptacles in the back of the briefing room, and they can get their cameras and their sound equipment set up here so that when they come in here for a briefing, they have the capability of hooking into those panels in the back and setting up their cameras and other displays. They also can work out of here, as we have a bench area for them to operate and connect to their internet and connect back to their home offices to do what they need to do in here in their own private space. As I said, in 2004 they were working on the same ops floor as we were, which made it a little bit difficult for them and difficult for us at times. So this gives them their own space to work at. And also they do have a view onto the ops floor itself if that's required. And inside the conference room is where our senior leadership would come in to brief, to work, to discuss what's happening. Each morning there would be an executive briefing here led by the county manager. And it's also for our higher leadership to work off the ops floor and to be able to converse together and discuss different items. Again, we do have displays on the wall. We also have the capability of projecting different types of information through a projector system, as well as video teleconferencing.
Once we start activating our role as communications leaders for the whole storm process, we'll have people that will be sending out news releases to traditional media like the newspapers, the newsrooms and the television stations, of course to the radio stations, and we'll also be pushing our own folks with social media. We invite everyone to like us or follow us on our Twitter and our Facebook accounts throughout the county, whether it be your favorite Parks and Recreation site, or perhaps you are a follower on the government websites. We encourage you to do that, or our social media sites. And follow us, like us, and be able to keep up with storm information all the time, because that's going to be a really important way to get information to the folks in the county on a regular basis.